Bad money advice everyone gives. If you take this bad money advice or any of the bad money advice that I talk about in this video from anyone around you or from social media, you are set up to fail. Unfortunately, like 99% of the information that people will tell you or share as if it's good advice or education is absolutely horrible advice, and it will hurt you long term. And in this video, we're not just going to look at those major pieces of bad advice that are absolutely running rampant in culture, society, on financial education, but we're going to talk about not just why they're bad from a monetary standpoint, but why the psychology behind the advice is bad as well, because that also plays into it. Because at a surface level, some of you guys might be like, but wait a second, credit card points are good. Absolutely not. Very few people can take advantage of credit cards, right? And we're going to talk about that. So we're going to talk about some mainstream things that people, even financial YouTubers, are telling you to do that are actually bad. And by the end of the video, you'll know why they're bad, and you'll be able to make the decision on whether or not you want to do them or partake in them as well. Before we get into that, guys, there's a button below that says subscribe on it. Please click it. It's absolutely free to do. It's about the only free thing in today's day and age that you can do. And if anything, it might make you some money in that you might learn something on this channel about financial education, making more money, retiring early, entrepreneurship, you name it. There's free stuff on this channel that you will grow yourself and your bank account or lower your debt if you watch it and learn and take and implement. So all you got to do is click that button right below, and that's all I'm going to ask for you in this video is if you just click the button. All right, we're going to start off with the most controversial one that everyone likes to make YouTube videos, but the most commonly you hear parents telling their kids, you may have been told this by your parents, it's open up a credit card, grow your credit score, and take advantage of points or return on or reward cash. Now, for about 8% of you, this is great advice because you've never missed a payment, you've never had a late payment, you've never had a problem, and you've been doing it for 10 plus years, right? If you don't have those three things, credit cards are not for you. Now, you might say to yourself, I'm less than 10 years of a credit card user, but I've never missed a payment. As long as you know for the next 10 years and for the rest of your life, you will never be late, you will never miss a payment, period. I don't care if something goes wrong, if you forget, if your balance, if something goes wrong, anything that goes wrong, zero excuses you're not a credit card person, because it has to go wrong once in the entirety of your time on this planet for you not to be a credit card person. But you might say to yourself, okay, why are points bad? Why is getting 2% back on a purchase bad, or 6% on groceries if you have an Amex Blue Card like I do? Well, let me tell you why. Because the second you don't completely pay your balance off, you've not just lost the return on those points up front, you've lost the return of those points statistically for the lifetime of spending on your card, right? Hear that out. For the average credit card user, right, one carryover balance where you pay interest for, let's just say, 1 year will cost you more than a lifetime of points earning for the average credit card user in the United States, which means it is like walking into a casino if it wasn't fair. And you might already say to yourself, casinos aren't fair, they're designed to make money. Imagine a casino where your odds of winning were so small that almost nobody got any money, which already feels like what a casino is, but let's just say, in comparison, a casino would be pretty fair. That's the credit card system that you're walking into, right? So unless you are a perfect user, don't do it. Now, here's the other thing. 50% of you guys will make a purchase because you don't have to pay for it up front. One of the best things that you can do for yourself, for your life, for your family, for your future, for your past, is to, if you're going to buy something, pay for it in cash. Because if you don't think that you can pay for it in cash, you can't actually afford that item. Full stop. The only time that's different is if you're running a business that's running 6 figures in revenue, and I don't want to hear anything else because objectively and financially, numerically, you are incorrect. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. So if you can't pay for it in cash, you can't pay for it. And unfortunately, a credit card incentivizes you to buy things you can't pay for. Enough with credit cards, because people talk about credit cards forever. And the next thing on our list is to pay off your house. Now, I'm going to say I'm a hypocrite here because my plan is to pay off my house early. For the only reason, and I'm going to give you guys the only reason to do that, is because I acknowledge that I'm going to lose money, but it will give me peace of mind. And I'm willing to lose potential earnings of hundreds of thousands of dollars because I think I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars of more money in either lifestyle benefits or actual money by having the peace of mind of not having a mortgage. I know that sounds crazy, but for a very, very small percentage of people like myself, we're very entrepreneurial, and that freedom of mind and that freedom to do things because you don't have a housing payment and take more risks will help potentially in growing more money. But for 99.9% of you, including probably myself, objectively the answer is do not pay your house off early. If you have a bad interest rate, pay it for a little while and refinance your mortgage when interest rates are good. Mortgages are generally 30 years long. You've got plenty of time to refinance it when your interest rate is in a better place, but do not pay off your house early. Why? Because if you put the money in the market, you will out-earn the money that you would put into your home. Full stop, period. I can just tell you right now, there's no mathematical way that it makes sense. To go one step further, if you pay off your house early, you will disadvantage yourself to a metric of almost 4 to 5 times returns, which means if you pay off your house, let's say $1,000 into your house early, right? Versus $1,000 into the market over a long time horizon. If you put it into the market, you will return 4 to 5 times the amount of money on average versus paying off your house and the returns you might get from that for not having a mortgage. It is what it is. The only time that it might be good to pay off your mortgage is if you're right on the cusp of retirement, because it's like a very non-risky thing to have your money in. But even then, there's questions about housing market fluctuations, where you live, and all kinds of stuff. Don't pay off your house early. If you have extra money, invest it in the stock market. I'm not going to give you investing advice, but if I were in your shoes, or when I'm in that place, I'll put it into VOO or something, and it will return on market average something like 10 to 11% on the average year, averaged over a long time horizon, and I will thank myself in 10, 20, 30 years. All right, here's one of those controversial ones. Putting money into a 401k. Yeah, you probably should do this, but putting money into a 401k is maybe disingenuous advice, or I don't know what the right word for it is. It's advice without fully understanding what you're doing. I think most people don't understand that when you put your money into a 401k, you basically and essentially, for all intents and purposes, cannot access that money until you retire in your 60s. And for all of you guys that are there are tax advantage ways of doing all these things, yada, 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 the retirement rules change constantly. Well, not constantly, but they do change. And for me, I'm almost 30. Things could happen in the next 3 decades that adjust. Maybe I can't draw from it until I'm 71, which would be a year away from the average lifespan of a male in the United States, which means maybe I get to enjoy my money for a year. Now, I'm not saying don't invest, and I'm not saying put it in a retirement account, but I'm just saying the best thing to do is to understand how you're setting up your retirement. And don't just put money into a 401k for the sake of putting it into a 401k. If you have a company match, take advantage of the company match to its fullest. It's absolutely free money. I always recommend doing that. Even if it goes into a 401k, free money is free money. It'll out-return anything else because it's free money. But if you don't have a match, right, or you're thinking about putting your money into some type of retirement plan, make sure you understand what your options are, because a 401k isn't the best option for everybody. Obviously, a Roth is better, but going one step further, I'm a great example. I know that later in life, when I'm in my 40s, 50s, and 60s, I'd like to be very entrepreneurial. I'd like to work for myself. I'd like to own a real estate portfolio. I'd like to do all these things, which means access to capital is really important. Now, you can take a loan against your 401k and stuff like that, but I would just rather have liquid capital. So instead of putting money into a 401k and taking advantage of what currently could be some tax advantages, which probably will be the case when I retire, but you just don't know. There's some risk involved there. I'd rather just keep control of my own money and I invest it on my own, right? And if you don't have the investing skills, you can work with a wealth manager or something like that that'll help you do that. But retirement planning is more important than just investing in your 401k and spending a little bit of time on YouTube understanding what the rules are so you understand what you're putting your money into, because it truly gets locked up. Now, you could take it out, but the penalties are so substantial that you're just going to straight up lose money, right? You're going to lose all the returns that you could have otherwise had putting it just into your own retirement, portfolio that you can draw from at any time. I can draw my money out of my investment account at any time. The only thing I have to pay is capital gains tax, which you pay anyways if you drew out of a 401k or whenever you draw out of a 401k or anything like that. So that's just like the advice of just put your money into the 401k is bad inherently because it kind of like, it says don't do further education, but further education is really, really, really important. Next is the classic family. You have time, right? It's like you're in your 20s, you don't need to know what you're doing. You're in your late 20s, you know, you got time. That's not true, right? Our parents and our older generations had time. They had the abundance of things costing less. The cost of living was much lower. Their money stretched a longer way. And they could, quite literally, they had like decades of time where inflation was high, but it wasn't high enough that like a decade could have been the equivalent of a year now, which is absolutely insane. But the short answer is you don't have time. If you don't invest your money early, it will not grow. Time is what grows money. Money is not what grows money. And I know that sounds crazy, but you know, if you don't invest, like let's say somebody that invests at 18 versus 35, the person investing at 35 quite literally has to invest something like 2.7, if I'm doing brain math right now, like 2.7, 2.8 times the amount of money to return the same amount of money at the end of the time. So like literally somebody that started at 18 could literally over their lifetime invest 2.7 times less than the person that started at 35, which should tell you right away, you have absolutely no time, right? Money doubles on the market roughly every 7 years, which means if you wait, and you wait, let's say 7 years before you get a lot of money in it, you've lost the first doubling of your money. Now, it might be great for your money to double after that, and you might be like, well, I'm saving more at 35. You're not, because that other person's money doubled while they were in the process. And even if they had a much smaller number, it's doubled and increased over time. They're gonna beat you in the long run by far. You don't have time. And the last one on our list, and this video is going a little bit longer than I expected, so thank you for bearing with me, is it's okay, and I'm gonna put this in quotation, it's like, it's okay because everyone does it, which is absolutely not okay. The average person can't deal with $1,000 emergency. They quite literally cannot come up with $1,000. The average person is drowning in credit card debt, auto debt, house debt, student loan debt. The average person in the United States arguably will not be able to retire. And anyone that argues with me in that in the comment section below is not a mathematician, first off, and two, they're taking me anecdotal evidence of my parents or X, Y, and Z retired with this amount of money at this time. The thing is that person that they're in, that place that they're in, is advantaged because they were able to build to what they are now in a more advantaged time than we have now by a significant amount, right? You don't want to be the average person right now because the average person is going to fail. You know when I'm going to be able to prove you wrong on this point? When we're all at 60 and I've been retired for 20 years and you guys are like, I'm going to die on the Walmart floor. And that's what's going to happen, right? I mean, the unfortunate thing is the only way for me to prove you guys wrong is for that to happen to you, and I don't wish that to anybody. But if you say it's okay because this person does it, it's not okay. Classic example. Throughout my 20s, everyone went out to like bars and stuff and spent all this money. And they were like, well, everyone's doing it, so I'm gonna do it. Blah, 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 blah. I just went to my 10-year high school reunion, right? And I think out of my graduating class, maybe like 15 people own homes. That is absolutely wild, right? How much would that money have been? I mean, quite literally, I can guarantee you a couple years of drinking in the area that I have and going out to bars is a down payment for a home. Full stop, fact, right? I could even say probably 2 or 3 years of going out, let alone a decade of going out. So those are decisions, right? Those people feel disadvantaged. They feel like, the world is out to get me. I don't have this money. How did you do that? Oh my God, that's so impressive. I just didn't go out, right? I had plenty of fun. I'm active. I run ultra marathons. I've got plenty of friends. I play soccer with them. I do all kinds of fun stuff. I just don't spend a lot of money drinking. I don't really drink, right? What I did do is I bought a house in the Boston area at the age of 23, right? And I'm better off because I did that. So the short answer is you don't want to be the average person. Break the mold. The average person's life is just like going into the gutter. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one.